Hey guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how you can make an APK file using serious Python. So the first step is that we're going to go to flutter.dev and we're going to go to get started section. So here we have 4 choices based on our operating systems. So if we have Windows, Mac OS, Linux or Chrome OS, we use that based on our operating system. So we're going to use Windows because we have Windows 10 right now. And important note that if you're in China, read this file because Google doesn't have servers in China. So you should read this file. So we're going to go to Windows section. So here it says to install and run Flutter, your development environment must have these minimum requirements. So you should have Windows 10 or later, for example Windows 10 or 11, and you should have a free disk space of 1.64 gigabytes. Note that this is not enough and you should also have about 20 gigabytes free disk space. So if I come here, you can see I have 131 gigabyte free space, but you should have at least 20 gigabytes free space. So after that, we have to have Windows PowerShell 5 or newer. So if you have Windows 10, as I have, it's pre-installed. But if you have Windows 11, you should install it yourself. And also, we should have Git for Windows. So we're going to click on this link and come here. It says download for Windows. We're going to click here to download Git for our Windows, and as you can see it's being downloaded. So we're going to wait. So now that our download's finished, we're going to go to our downloads folder and we're going to install this file. And it's pretty easy. We're just going to hit next, 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 everything on default, next, next, and next again, and we wait for it to install. Okay, now our Git is installed and we're going to hit finish. Okay, so the next step, and this is a very important step, we're going to download Flutter Windows 3.13 stable.zip. This is the Flutter SDK. So Flutter works with this file. And we wait for it to download. Okay, now that our Flutter SDK file is installed successfully, we're going to go to our downloads, copy the file, and go to our PC, C drive, and make a new folder here called source, src. And in this file, we're going to make another file called Flutter. And in this file, we're going to paste our zip file. And then we're going to extract it here. So extract the zip file here. Okay, now that we have successfully extracted our file, we're going to delete this file. And we're going to go to Flutter, the folder. And for testing it, we're going to open Flutter console, this file. And now if I type flutter -- version, we can see that the Flutter SDK is installed successfully. And it says welcome to Flutter and other stuff. We're going to close this file. And then we're going to add Flutter SDK to our environmental variables. So we need to add this file to our environmental variables. So I'm going to, and this is a tip, you can just click here and this path, we need this path, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to hit the Windows key on my keyboard, and it says edit environmental variables for your account. And I'm going to click on it. So now I'm going to go down and I'm going to edit this variable. It says path. And I'm going to hit on edit and make a new path and just paste this path here. I'm going to hit OK and hit OK again, and I'm going to check it, and yes, it's here. So now we can test it. We can use Windows command prompt, and if I type Flutter -- version here, we can see that our path has been added successfully to our environmental variables. Right now, we've successfully installed Flutter and set it up on our system. So the next step is that we're going to go to Flutter documentation, and we need to install Android Studio for our system. So download Android Studio, giraffe. I've read download for Windows. And it's being downloaded, and we just wait for it to finish. Okay, once Android Studio is installed successfully, we're going to open Android Studio. And we're going to install Flutter and Dart plugins. So you can see I have both Dart and Flutter. So if you don't have it, just install it under the plugin section. And you're also going to install, but you also need to install Dart. But notice that when you install Flutter plugin, it also installs Dart plugin, so you don't need to install it. So we're now going to make a new Flutter project. Our Flutter SDK path, C source Flutter. And we're just going to make a test app to see if everything works correctly. So test app, and we're going to create. And this is a sample Flutter code. And if we open it with, and we have some options here, we can open it with Google Chrome, Edge, Windows, Desktop. So we're going to test it with Chrome. And as you can see here, we have Flutter installed on our device. And this is a sample code, sample Flutter code. So the next step is that we need to make a virtual environment so we can install and test our app. So we're going to hit this icon, Device Manager, and create a device. And as you can see, I have Nexus 6 API 34 installed. So how can you create a device? You hit on this button and you just search for Nexus 6. Now Nexus 6 is pretty good because I think it has a good speed, but you can use other devices if you want, but I recommend Nexus 6. Then we hit next, and as you can see, my operating system is API 34 here. So you hit next, and here you change automatic to hardware because it gives you more speed when you're testing. So we hit finish now, and if it doesn't finish as fast as mine and it starts downloading, it's okay because I've downloaded it previously. So now I run this device, It looks something like this, our virtual environment. Okay, so now this device is up and running. So we can change our Flutter device selection to Nexus 6 API 34.2, this one, and I just run the code. And we can see here, launching lib main.dart on SDK, running Gradle task, assemble, debug. And it behaves like a normal phone. You have notifications here, and you have apps here. For example, photos, Chrome, clock, contacts. And we just wait for this to finish. And as you can see, once it's finished, we have the app on our virtual environment. So this is a Flutter app, not a Flet app, a Flutter app. And we can test it, as you can see here. And it starts increasing. So by now, we've pretty much installed Flutter SDK, Android Studio, and we've made a virtual environment so we can test our apps. So now is a good part, because now we're going to make an APK file with CirrusPython for Flet and also run and export the APK for Flet file. Now, as far as CirrusPython, I've used almost most of the versions, and I've made a zip file that consists of 3 files, and I will share a link for you in the video description. This is the link, and now let's open the link. It's a Google Drive, and there's a zip file in the Google Drive, and we're just going to download it. Download anyway, and we're going to save it into our downloads. Now once the download's finished, we're going to open it. We're going to extract it, and this is the file. So there are 3 folders here: app example, make app.zip, and run app. And there's a node file here that I will explain you in a second. So first we have a Flet app that I'm going to open and show it to you. So this is the app, and if I run it, this is the simple app that I've made to show how to make a APK using CirrusPython. So let's say that you have made your Flet app and you want to make an APK and test it on a virtual environment and finally export an APK. So let's close this file. So what I'm going to do now is to copy main.py and assets folder and come to here, make app.zip folder, and pay close attention that where I paste it. So I go to make app.zip, CirrusPython main, example, Flet example, app, and I come here to the source file, and I delete these 2 files and paste my new files here. So now what I'm going to do is come here to this directory, and I'm going to open Android Studio, open Flet example, trust project, and now what we're going to do is go to main.dart and get dependencies first. Okay, process finished with exit code 0. And we're going to go to terminal. And we're just going to check that if we are in the right path. So we're in the right path. Okay, let's clear this. And now I'm going to use this command in notes file that I showed you previously. Dart run series python main package app /source. And I'm going to run this command. Downloading and extracting Python into C. And as you can see, it starts installing the libraries. And once all of it is done, we have a final app.zip file, which is in this directory. So make app.zip, series python main, example, flet example, app. This is our final file, app.zip. So we're going to copy this file. And we're going to come here. And we're going to run the app with this version of Serious Python. So we're going to go to example, flet example, app. We're going to delete this file and paste our new app.zip. And what we're going to do now is come here in run app, Serious Python main example, and we're going to close this project and open this new project in run app. Trust project. And now, as before, we have to go to main.dart and get dependencies, process finished with code 0, and we go to our device manager and we launch our virtual environment. Wait for it to open. And now we can use this one, Open Android Emulator Nexus 6 API 34.2. And now we run our app. So you can see here, running Gradle task assemble debug, and this usually takes a lot of time, but don't worry. And these are just warnings, so don't worry about these. And this is a good news. Build app output Flutter. And now if we open our virtual environment, you can see that we have our simple app here. And it works perfectly. And that's it. So how do we export the APK? We just come here to terminal, clear, and we run this command, flutter build apk -- release. I copy it and paste it here. As you can see, running Gradle task assemble release, it's making the APK file. And these are just warnings, so don't worry about these. So as you can see, this is the best part. We've successfully built our APK in this directory. So it says build app outputs flutter apk app release.apk. So if we go to this directory, so we go to run app, serious python, example, flet example, build app outputs apk release, and this beautiful file, this amazing beautiful file is our APK file. So congratulations if you've come here so far and you successfully made your APK file. If you had any questions, just ask me in the comment, and in the next video, hopefully, I will teach you how to run your Flet app on a physical device, meaning your phone. So I'll see you then.